Welcome to Civ 6 Stories, where we explore alternatives to history through the lens of the world's most addictive video game. Games are played on Deity, no challenges. Generally, I don't use mods or game modes except for Sukuta's Oceans. A great game is epic and tells a story. It has a history, all condensed down into 20 minutes. Along the way, you can learn tips and tricks on how to be a better Civ player, as well as strategies on how to play specific civilizations. You know, I had played so many games of Civ, but couldn't remember the last time I won a culture victory, despite trying on countless occasions with some of the best culture civs in the game. I need to rephrase. I'm sure I won some culture games, but only with the Monopolies and Corporations game mode enabled. Winning a culture victory with Monopolies and Corporations on is almost too easy because of the culture and tourism boost you get from Monopolies. But winning a straight up culture victory with the default rule set began to feel impossible. In recent memory, so let's say within the last year, if I was beaten by the AI, it was usually a culture victory. Both Persia and Egypt had done it to me. I decided to make a go of it on a huge map with one of the biggest cultural juggernauts I could think of, Eleanor of France. Her Court of Love ability meant that I could probably passively grow my empire without upsetting too many folks. I planned to have enough space to build entertainment complexes and theater squares, as well as space to place France's tourism-centric unique tile improvement, the Chateau. It had to be possible, right? I have long thought that a culture victory on the standard rule set was the most difficult to win. Well, it got absurd, as you will see. Admittedly, I hadn't played Eleanor since about 2021, and this took a couple of kicks at the can to get on the path I wanted. But here goes, an alternative to history that proves just how ludicrous and difficult it is to win a culture victory on Deity. Not the finest start location ever, but we'd be surrounded by some decent tiles to get the ball rolling. On turn 2, we were the first to meet Fez. In 3920 BC, we met Poundmaker of the Cree. In 3680 BC, our lone warrior was able to disperse a barbarian encampment and then barely escaped with its life. In 3640 BC, our scouts discovered our favorite wonder, Zhangye Danxia. Settling nearby would be our primary objective. In 3480 BC, we met Christina of Sweden. In 3440 BC, we met Gilgamesh of Sumer and immediately proposed friendship. In 3360 BC, we met Gitarja of Indonesia. In 3240 BC, we met Tokugawa of Japan. And in 3200 BC, we met Robert the Bruce of Scotland. The Scottish city of Roxburgh looked close to claiming a tile of our beloved wonder. In 3120 BC, we met John Curtin of Australia. It was tempting, but I was not prepared to start a war with the Cree. Cree founded the city of Picpicus right at the doorstep of my young empire in a clear act of aggression. In 2920 BC, we founded the city of Bordeaux, right at the foot of Zhangye Danxia, and immediately claimed a portion of it. Just a few turns in, and our civilization was leading the way in great general and great merchant recruitment. In 2480 BC, we chose the fire goddess pantheon. By 2440 BC, the Cree had boldly settled the city of Atakakup, right next to our capital city of Paris. In 2080 BC, with one turn remaining before the start of the classical era, our worker chopped out a holy site in Paris that was the envy of the world and which ensured for us a classical era golden age. Though we had a strong holy site and the option to choose Exodus of the Evangelists, with so many civs competing for so few religions, we chose the Monumentality dedication. In 1720 BC, we simultaneously recruited the great general Boudica and the great merchant Marcus Licinius Crassus. In 1640 BC, struggling with tight quarters and little available land, we founded the city of Amboise, staking a claim at the edges of Scottish and Sumerian territory. In 1520 BC, with our discovery of political philosophy, we chose our Tier 1 government and became an autocracy. In 1320 BC, the Swedish city of Norrköping, sandwiched between the Swedish, Indonesian, and French empires, flipped to free cities. By 1000 BC, despite our best efforts to seize the free city, Norrköping decided to become part of Indonesia. In 900 BC, we recruited the talents of the great general Trong Trak. Our possession of Zhangye Danxia was paying off in a big way as we received the inspiration for the Enlightenment before the birth of the Messiah. In 850 BC, weaving through the hills, we founded our fourth city, Toulouse, that would comprise the core of our empire. In 700 BC, we recruited our second great merchant, Callias, raising our great people earned to 4 before the birth of Christ. Bless you, Zhangye Danxia. In 675 BC, we met Jadwiga of Poland. We entered the medieval era in the Dark Age and chose the Free Inquiry dedication. Our forces had gathered around the Cree city of Atakakup. French troops were eager to go to war. When the Cree captured the Australian capital city of Canberra in 625 BC, we were happy to meet them on the battlefield. In 600 BC, we built the Apadana in the city of Paris. Gilgamesh, Tokugawa, and Gitarja joined us in the military emergency to liberate Canberra. In 400 BC, after a 200-year siege, French troops captured the Cree city of Atakakup. In 350 BC, Poundmaker offered us decent peace terms. We had made our mark. Marred in a dark age, we were not going to be able to hold more cities were we to invade deeper into Cree lands. The long-term goal was a culture victory. Peace could help us concentrate on other long-term goals. We made the city-state of Bologna our next target. In 175 BC, we declared war. 150 years later, we captured the city. Eleanor loves great works, so when Tokugawa came to us in 50 AD and offered us Chaucer's Troilus and Cressidi and a bit of gold for 30 turns of amber, we took it. We had been itching to go to war with the Swedes. Georgia and Indonesia were all too happy to join us in our quest. In 150 AD, together we declared a joint war against them. Swedish forces advanced on Bologna, but broke against our defenses like water on rock. By 350 AD, we had comfortably accomplished our mission of achieving a heroic age. Because of our heroic age, and without a religion to benefit from, we were able to choose the monumentality, Hic sunt Draconis, and reform the coinage dedications. That year, Gilgamesh kindly offered us the Canterbury Tales and gold for marble and open borders. We will take that. In 425 AD, French troops captured Helsingborg. In 450 AD, France recruited the military talents of Joan of Arc. How fitting. In 475 AD, with our discovery of divine right, we chose our Tier 2 government and became a monarchy. Hoping to increase our income, we tried to sell off some of our resources. Robert the Bruce had no interest in amber, but gave up a hefty sum for tea after entering into an alliance with us. Kinda goes to show what the Scots really value. For Georgia, it was an alliance and salt. In 500 AD, the Indonesian-controlled Swedish city of Norrköping came over to the Court of Love and became part of France. In 620 AD, French forces captured the city-state of Vilnius. In 660 AD, with our discovery of exploration, France changed its government to a merchant republic. In 740 AD, French troops captured the Swedish city of Västerås. In 780 AD, France built the Colosseum in the city of Bordeaux. In 880 AD, we built Mont Saint-Michel in the city of Paris. At the same time, Christina and Tokugawa declared a military emergency against us to liberate Västerås. In 980 AD, French forces captured the Swedish capital city of Stockholm. 20 years later, a French aristocrat commissioned the first chateau, showing off our unique culture to the world and ensuring that French society would not slip into another dark age. It would be the first of many. In 1050 AD, the Scottish city of Ayr came over to the Court of Love and became part of France. That same year, French troops captured the Swedish city of Jönköping. In 1060 AD, we met four of our cross-continental rivals: Ludwig of Germany, Tomyris of Scythia, Suleiman Mutashem of the Ottomans, and Philip II of Spain. These meetings presented opportunities for trade and did a lot to improve our economy. For the industrial era, we chose the reform the coinage dedication. Although Tokugawa was at war with us, when our real enemy, the Cree, took the city of Tokyo, it gave us an opportunity to put before the World Congress a proposal to justifiably strike at them. In 1100 AD, continuing our war against the Swedes, French troops captured the city of Umeå. Our proposal to aid the Japanese failed. Hey, we tried to be helpful. In 1180 AD, we met João of Portugal. In 1200 AD, Linköping, the last of the Swedish cities on the mainland, came over to the Court of Love and became part of France. After our discovery of industrialization, we discovered that we lacked coal. That was going to be a problem, or a pretext to go to war. I try so hard to be nice. In 1210 AD, we promoted one of our musketmen and gave to the world our Garde Impériale, who was likely going to help us secure that much-needed coal. Also that year, we discovered that the Spanish had not been so kind to the Kongo, an ancient civilization whose culture had long since gone extinct. In 1230 AD, we met Teddy Roosevelt of America. With the Swedes sufficiently subdued in the north, we turned our eyes back on the Cree. They were a mighty empire that had access to coal. In order to compete with them, we would need to cut into their empire at some point. Our first objective would be to take the nearby city-state of Fez. In 1240 AD, we declared war on the city-state. In 1280 AD, we met Gandhi of India. In 1300 AD, we built the Bolshoi Theater. In 1330 AD, after nearly a 100-year siege, the city-state of Fez fell to the French. That same year, on an island across the North Sea, with slaves from Sweden taken during the Franco-Swedish War, France founded the city of Calais. It was the first city founded by the French, one of the world's most vast empires, in almost 3,000 years. In 1350 AD, the Japanese city of Nagoya joined the Court of Love and became part of the French Empire. France was always focused on a culture game and a tourism victory. In order to speed along the process, or so we thought, France built the world's first national park near Toulouse. By 1380 AD, we were already leading the way culturally. This would be too easy. In 1390, France established its second national park in the sacred area by the Rainbow Mountain, Zhangye Danxia. Tensions between the Cree and French had been simmering for centuries. Now, with troops amassed along the border between the cities of Pipicasis and Atacacup, it was just a question of who would strike first. We decided it would be us and declared a formal war in 1400 AD. In 1420, when a French cannon took down a Cree cuirassier corps, it ensured for the French people a modern-era golden age. In 1450 AD, the Cree and Indonesia pulled Tokugawa into an alliance against the French to free Fez. To see Tokugawa and Poundmaker fighting together and against us, the one civilization who had tried to help them, felt like a slap in the face. That same year, France recruited the talents of the great engineer Gustave Eiffel. How fitting. We entered the modern era in a golden age and chose the heartbeat of steam dedication. With our government at war and now running a deficit, in order to pillage resources and refill our coffers with the aim of modernizing our army, we declared a formal war against the Poles in 1540. Pipicasis had an air defense that wreaked havoc against my standing army. But with upgraded artillery supported by an air balloon, French forces eventually beat down the city's defenses and captured the city in 1555. It was a battle that was sure to turn the tide of the war. By 1570, Tomiris and Suleiman were so angry with us that they teamed up to declare a formal war against France. In 1585 AD, we met Matthias Corvinus of Hungary. By 1600 AD, Ottomans had founded the city Urfa right at the doorstep of Calais in a clear act of aggression that our court of love could not let pass. In 1605, right as France was taking to the skies for the first time, Indonesia, Japan, and the Cree deepened their military alliance against us, declaring a military emergency to free Pipicasis. The Cree possessed superior technology. Our little biplane was no match for Cree air power and was shot down almost instantly. With nothing left to pillage along the Polish shoreline, we made peace with the Jadwiga in 1610. In 1625, with our discovery of suffrage, we adopted our Tier 3 government and became a democracy. That same year, although the war would go on, we successfully defended Fez from the three-headed hydra of evil, the Cree, Indonesia, and Japan. Katarja, however, with her cities under siege, was willing to surrender cultural artifacts to keep her empire intact, and, since we love cultural artifacts, we accepted her peace terms. Japan was mostly a satellite of the Cree at this point. They offered us some gold, and since our beef was not with them but the Cree, we accepted their terms. Also that year, we met Montezuma of the Aztecs. By 1645, with the modern era coming to a close, we were well on our way to a culture victory. When we built a national park in the vicinity of Bologna, our third of the game, we felt even more secure in the belief that we were on our way to a tidy early victory. We also ensured a second consecutive golden age. It was also about then that the Cree brought giant death robots onto the scene. Okay, so maybe the victory wouldn't be tidy. In 1650, Ludwig and the Germans won the World's Fair, but we did take home silver tier rewards, finishing between Spain and the Aztecs. That year, the Scottish city of Cullen joined the Court of Love and became part of France. By 1655, the influence of our Court of Love had become so strong that even the city-state of Volin wanted to join France. And that same year, we met Lautaro of the Mapuche. Lagging behind the Cree scientifically, in 1665 we expended some saved envoys to become suzerain of Nalanda and used their unique Mahavihara building to discover telecommunications. We entered the atomic era in a golden age and, throwing our eggs into the culture basket, chose the Wish You Were Here dedication. Though outmatched scientifically, our generals possessed superior tactical command. In 1710, after a long siege, French troops captured the Cree capital Mikasu Wasik. In 1715, the Ottoman city of Urfa joined the Court of Love and became part of France. We were keen to support the arts, but our civilization's first rock concert, performed in Spain by Petite Civilisation, though a success, led to the group disbanding. In 1735, the city-state of Mohenjo-Daro joined the Court of Love and became part of France. In 1750, hoping for the freedom to perform unsanctioned rock concerts throughout the world, we made peace with the Turks and with Scythia. Having beat back scores of Cree death robots, in 1765, French troops captured the city of Petokahana-Piwian. In 1795, French troops continued to make military progress against the Cree by capturing the city of Maskotu. In 1800, once again, the trifecta of evil, the Cree, Japanese, and Indonesia, declared a military emergency against the French. In 1806, French troops liberated the former Australian capital city of Canberra from the Cree and made it part of France. In 1812, with our discovery of distributed sovereignty, we adopted our Tier 4 government and became a digital democracy, focusing our policies on culture generation and tourism. That same year, French troops captured the Cree city of Pasqua Askik. In 1818, French troops captured the Cree-controlled former city-state of Bandar Brunei. In 1820, the Cree city of Makwa Sakahikan joined the Court of Love and became part of France. In 1822, the city-state of Nalanda also joined the Court of Love and became part of France. That same year, French troops captured the Cree-controlled former Japanese city of Okayama. At the end of that year, the Ottomans and Portuguese joined forces and declared war on us. In 1824, French troops captured the Japanese capital city of Kyoto, ending the game for Tokugawa and the Japanese. In 1826, the Cree-controlled former Australian city of Melbourne joined the Court of Love and became part of France. That same year, French troops captured the Cree-controlled former Japanese city of Tokyo, ending the game for Poundmaker and the Cree. All people, Japanese, Australian, and Cree, were no longer subjected to Poundmaker's cruel tyranny and could now live peacefully in the French Empire. Indonesia was neither as advanced or as powerful as the Cree. They were pushovers. By the time we turned our attention over to their destruction, their cities were prepared to capitulate. Palembang was the first and was captured by French forces in 1832. In 1834, we built the Estadio do Maracanã in the city of Bordeaux. In so doing, we ensured for ourselves a third consecutive golden age. That same year, French troops captured the Indonesian city of Surabaya. In 1836, French troops captured the Indonesian capital city of Mapuche. We entered the information era in a golden age, and trying to throw all of our eggs again into the cultural basket, even though it probably would have been easier just to go to space or win a domination victory, we chose the Wish You Were Here dedication. By 1838, we were generating 1,527 tourism per turn, with Indonesia, whose empire was on the brink of collapse, being our closest rival. After that, Ludwig was generating a fifth of the amount of tourism as us. The Mapuche and fourth were generating less than a third. That year, citizens of the Indonesian city of Makassar joined our Court of Love and became part of France. In 1844, French troops captured the Indonesian city of Ternate. In 1846, they captured Mataram. In 1848, the Indonesian city of Bima joined the Court of Love and became part of France. We had had little success showing the world how to rock. It wasn't until Mind Laser played a show at the Cristo Redentor statue outside of Aachen that French musicians began to achieve worldwide notoriety. In 1850, the Indonesian city of Banjarmasin joined the Court of Love and became part of France. That ended the game for Guitarja and Indonesia. At the end of that year, now firmly in control of our continent, and looking to spread a message of peace and culture, we ended the war with Suleiman and the Ottomans. It was time for them to learn how to rock. Mind Laser's tour of Germany continued with a successful show at the theater in Mainz in 1852. In 1856, Mind Laser rocked the theater of Magdeburg. By 1858, our spies were hard at work poaching great works and artifacts from our rivals and adding them to our cultural legacy. In 1860, we won the World Games, meaning our campuses, and we had lots of those as the world's largest empire, would now also produce tourism as well as science. We were now generating over 2,000 tourism per turn. This would be over soon. That same year, Mind Laser continued to rock, giving the audience at the theater in Heidelberg a show to remember. It was so successful, in fact, that Ludwig, once a great patron of culture and the arts, banned rock concerts in all of Germany. It left 3 of our rock bands, including the legendary group Mind Laser, stranded on the outskirts of Hong Kong and unable to rejoin society. They would not be able to escape until Germany reopened its doors to rock and roll. Though we could not rock in Germany, the French band Modern Noise could rock in Hungary. Though they would not reach the heights of Mind Laser, they were there to remind the world that France could still rock. In 1872, France launched its Earth satellite. That year, when Modern Noise played a show at the theater in Esztergom, they were elevated to a new status that drew comparisons to their countryman Mind Laser, now imprisoned near Hong Kong. Also that year, hoping to speed along our culture victory a little bit faster, France established yet another national park. In 1876, France built the biosphere in the city of Pasqua-Askik, adding an extra 489 tourism to our empire overnight. Also that year, the rock band Hilarious Beats rocked the campus of Ankara, elevating themselves to legends of rock. When Modern Noise entered the Aztec Empire and played the theater of Geneva, they learned that Aztec tastes differed greatly from that of Hungarians. The show did not go well, and they disbanded soon after. Hungary was good for French rock, and the band Middle Vultures took up where Modern Noise left off. Hilarious Beats also could not handle the pressures of fame. They flamed out fast in 1880 after playing the theater of Konya. By 1882, we took a look at the map through the tourism lens. With Chateau, Alcazar, ski hills, and wind and solar farms covering just about every tile, things looked a little out of hand. We were generating close to 3,000 tourism per turn. How could this game still be going on? By 1884, we were culturally dominant over most of the field, but estimated to still be 45 turns away from victory. Hoping to hasten things, we micromanaged our cultural buildings to make sure that what great works and artifacts we possessed, and boy did we have a lot, were at least themed. In 1886, citizens of the Sumerian city of Ur left Scotland to join the Court of Love and became part of France. Middle Vultures made it through a few shows at Wonders within the Aztec Empire, but never made it to great heights. They disbanded after the show at the Golden Gate Bridge near Chalco. Somehow, now generating over 3,000 per turn, the cultural situation was getting worse as our expected victory time dropped to 70 turns. By 1890, there was a new group on the scene. Little Observations played their first show at the campus of Izmir, and it immediately shot them to stardom. We had been at war with Portugal for years. They were no threat to us, but the war seemed endless. In 1896, we captured the city of Porto. After taking the city, we brokered a deal whereby we ceded the city back to Portugal, but took some of their cultural treasures home to France in return for peace. Little Observations continued to rock through Turkey, playing a memorable performance at the campus of Viseu. Young Kitten was the first French band to really break through in the Aztec Empire as they played a memorable show at the Eiffel Tower in Tenochtitlan in 1898. Looking at the ranking board at the turn of the century, and we were way out in front. We were generating well over 3,000 tourism per turn. The Ottoman Empire, our closest cultural rival, was generating a paltry 272. The Mapuche, generating almost 500 tourism per turn, were likely to overtake them, but that still was less than a sixth of the tourism that France were generating. Little Observations established themselves as legends of rock after playing the spaceport of Kayseri in 1900. With the information era drawing to a close, it was time to optimize the placement of our cultural artifacts again. Nervous about playing outside of Turkey, Little Observations played their first show at the campus in Rapa Nui, Portugal. The audience was not as receptive to their French style as they had been in Turkey, but Little Observations were pros and decided to carry on. After reaching new heights in the Aztec Empire, Young Kitten learned that no one plays the Golden Gate Bridge and lives to tell about it. Though they played a memorable show like Middle Vultures before them, they disbanded soon after. Little Observations played again at the campus in Lisbon in 1903. In 1904, France landed on the moon. We were getting close to generating 4,000 tourism per turn. The map, with the tourism lens on, looked ridiculous, and it was getting more ridiculous with every turn. Somehow we were still 63 turns from victory. Bloody hell! Magic Cats played the theater at Teotihuacan in 1905 and immediately vaulted into rock and roll stardom. Had they finally solved the Aztecs' particular tastes? That same year, Little Observations played the campus at Bea and achieved a level of fame and notoriety never before seen by any French band. They reached the pinnacle of rock and roll stardom. Their concert vaulted us into a position to win the game in 15 turns. By 1906, we had researched so many future civics that 5 of my governors were fully promoted. In 1907, the rock band Radical Loyalists played their first ever show at the theater in Lisbon and immediately rose to rock and roll stardom. Playing shows in the Aztec Empire continued to be a problem for French musicians. They were one of the only civilizations allowing rock concerts, but immediately after vaulting to stardom, Magic Cats flamed out after playing the theater in Xochicalco in 1908. Low Stones had gotten their start playing modest shows in Poland. When America opened their doors to rock concerts, they played the Entertainment Hall in Washington and vaulted to superstardom. We entered the future era in a dark age, but 11 turns from victory. Our dedication didn't really matter at this point, but we chose Wish You Were Here anyway. Little Observations continued to rock the world, and now that America was allowing concerts, they performed a single show for American audiences by rocking the campus of St. Louis. By 1911, I had earned so much culture and so many civic boosts that my governors had earned every single promotion. When will this game end? Oh, but wait. That year, Germany opened its borders again to rock bands, freeing Mind Laser and 2 other bands that had been trapped in Hong Kong. Mind Laser played a show at the theater in Cologne and immediately blew people's minds. Little Observations took their act north to India and played the campus of Agra, where they continued to rock the world. Low Stones proved that they could rock with the best of them and followed up their Washington show by playing the theater in Baltimore and rising to new heights. In 1912, Little Observations rocked the campus at Delhi, and Mind Laser rocked the theater at Nuremberg. Radical Diamonds played the Panama Canal in Heidelberg and leveled up. In 1913, Low Stones played the theater at Agra. Little Observations played the campus at Hyderabad, and Mind Laser played the theater in Berlin. Cool Improvement followed in the footsteps of Radical Diamonds by rocking the Panama Canal and leveling up. By 1914, we were 4 turns away. Could we make it to 4,000 tourism per turn before the end? We were close. That year, Radical Diamonds rocked the campus in Berlin while some of the more established bands went off exploring opportunities in new places. The tourism map lens continued to look, well, ridiculous. In 1915, Low Stones, the Stones, as they were now known around the world, performed at the theater in Hyderabad and blew people's minds. Radical Diamonds were an established French band by now, but after playing the campus in Munich, they had had enough and disbanded. Little Observations wanted to take their talents all over the world and had now moved on to Scythia, where they performed at the campus of Tolstaya. In 1916, the Stones played the theater in Neapolis. Little Observations played the campus at Pokrovka, Cool Improvement gave a legendary performance at the theater of Magdeburg, and Mind Laser also rocked the theater at Saloka. In 1917, France established its colony on Mars. We were now generating 3,989 tourism per turn and had a single turn to go before victory. That year, Little Observations played the campus at Saloka, Mind Laser played the theater at Galonis, and the Stones played the theater at Tolstaya. 3 final incredible shows by 3 amazing French bands that finally helped me to achieve a well-deserved, albeit ridiculous, culture victory. So, what did I learn? What I think this alternative to history proves is that although culture victories are possible, the tourism mechanic is a bit broken, and that achieving a culture victory is by far the most challenging victory condition in Civ 6. I can accept the fact that I did not found a religion, and all of that early game tourism that can be achieved through religion was against me for a few centuries. But with only 7 religions going out to 22 civs on deity, the likelihood that I was going to secure a religion without any faith or religious bonuses was unlikely. Better to concentrate on long-term culture and tourism production from the get-go. Sure, I was not the most peaceful civilization on the planet, but I ruffled as few feathers as possible, especially on the far continent. And I even made lasting peace with my continental neighbors, Sumer and Scotland. It's not like I was passive with my tourism. I planted more chateaux and alcazars than I can count and discovered flight in the industrial era, meaning all of those tile improvements were generating tourism for over 300 years across 3 eras and well into the future era. I built all kinds of wonders, including a few that specifically help with culture, and they were generating tourism for a long time. Considering how many offshore wind farms and solar farms I had, I thought building the biosphere would have got me over the line quicker. I generated decent amounts of faith, especially after conquering some of my nearest rivals, and boy oh boy did I pump out the rock bands. I tried to maximize returns by running the Hallyu policy card, not to mention having every single tourism policy card plugged in since 1812, as well as winning a couple of competitions. But I find that rock band RNG is piss poor, and that 99% of the time 50% means 10%, 30% means 10%, 16% means 10%, and 4% means 10%, which is about how often my rock bands go on to play a second show. Rock bands, whether stated or not, seem to have a lifespan in Civ 6, and the percentages feel meaningless. I bought upwards of 30 or 40 during the game, but only Mind Laser, Low Stones, and Little Observations did anything noteworthy. Sure, there were a couple of other bands like Middle Vultures, Modern Noise, Young Kitten, and Magic Cats who played a couple of memorable shows, but then flamed out the moment they achieved any success. The game echoes real life, I guess. But there were scores of bands that played a single show and just quit. I enjoy Eleanor's Court of Love ability. I absorbed as many as 15 cities, including 3 city-states, which are particularly hard to flip. But this ability is more of a domination ability rather than cultural. It's the French chateau that is the real tourism driver, although Eleanor does not benefit like Magnificent's Catherine does from her chateaus being next to luxury resources. Still, what I think I'm saying is that I don't think a culture victory should be this frustrating, and that if I wanted to win quickly, I should have just gone to space or tried to dominate after taking out the Cree, who were the only real challengers in this game. Sure, I've won culture victories before and have a bunch in my Hall of Fame, but most of them are from years ago when the rule set was different, or they are from games where I played with Monopolies and Corporations game mode on. Monopolies and Corporations make tourism almost too easy to win because it is also tied to domination and controlling more of the map and more of the resources. I think as Civ 6 evolved and they added more cultural and tourism mechanics, like rock bands, they changed up the algorithm and how culture victories get achieved, and it actually made it more difficult to win a culture game. I mean, you saw the map through the tourism lens. You saw me generating nearly 4,000 tourism per turn, and especially generating 4, 5, 6x the tourism of the next highest civ, not to mention how many times more than some of the smaller civs. What's even more annoying is the fact that I've lost games to civs like Persia and Egypt, who generated far less tourism for far less long than I, and even when they were on the brink of being destroyed. Perhaps there is something to the mechanic that I just don't understand, but then I think it's at the behest of the creators of the game to make the information available to players on what constitutes the proper path to victory. All it says is to become culturally dominant over your rivals by generating tourism. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, and remember to keep making your own civilization stories, your own amazing paths through history, and I'll see you next time.